For those of you who are just coming into my world, I am what you would call a natural astral projector. This is something that I had an awareness of as far back as I can remember. As a kid, it was normal to me. I would always have feelings of floating, flying, feeling that there was something more going on around me. Basically, an extrasensory perception, if you would like to say. I've always been a very sensitive and highly intuitive person. And because of that, ironically, I took on a lot of negative energy around me. Then I was dealing with my own abuse issues. I was a very lonely, sad, depressed child. I hated this world. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Knew that it was just wrong. Everything about it was wrong to me. So, as I became more aware of my extrasensory perception in this regard, I didn't understand or couldn't understand the mechanisms behind it. So for me, it was trial and error. I would have these spontaneous astral projection experiences and didn't have anywhere to go, no one to talk to, because in my neighborhood, if you weren't talking about Jesus and if you weren't speaking from a religious perspective, you were either crazy or possessed by a demon. So I kept these things to myself. As I got older and had them more and more, I gained more wisdom about it. And I knew that a day would come that I would begin openly sharing my experiences with others, because I now understand, or had begun to understand, that this was something very natural. In fact, this is our birthright to do and to experience. But it has been shut off, or we have been convinced that this is just in our imaginations running wildly. So I shared my experience to put a face on this subject matter, especially an unlikely face, being an African American male from the ghetto. That's not to say that a lot of us are not having it, but there are still many of us who are fearful to come forward about these things. And if we do have them, we automatically give the power to the devil. I talk about that all the time. There's too much giving power to devils and demons. And this is my aim. My goal is to begin helping people to understand their astral projection experience, what to expect, by way of kind of entertaining you guys, but at the same time I'm educating you in the process. So please take heed and take notes to the messages and the tips in between. Alright, this particular astral projection experience happened. Again, I typically share my experiences when I was pretty new in my understanding, or when I was just beginning to wake up. This one happened about 10 years ago, and I had felt the typical vibrations and just went with it, and all of a sudden I find myself in this very dark, macabre-like world. And immediately I was like in a field, and there was like this long dark road, and I could see on a hill this house. It was like a mansion. It sort of reminded me of I don't know how many of you guys seen Psycho. The house in Psycho, like a shack, but it was a shack and mansion combined. It was kind of like I don't know what's the best way to describe it, but anyway, it was this really big house mansion, kind of spooky, but it was kind of like royalty lived there. And I immediately focused on that, and instantly I was on the inside. That's how the astral realm works. It's very sensitive to feelings and emotions and thoughts. But at that time, I didn't understand. I didn't know that. So take that note. Instantly, I was on the inside of this house, and there was in front of me this what appeared to be a white male professor type, and there were these children. There were four of them. There were two black kids and two white kids, and the professor type person that I had seen was talking about a painting, piece of artwork on the wall. I'm standing behind them watching, and neither of them seemed to notice me being there. I don't think they were able to perceive me because vibrationally I was probably outside of their perception or their vibration. So at that moment, I'm trying to engage in the piece of artwork, and it was very distorted, a very strange artwork, painting on the wall, and all of a sudden I turn around and there is this strange dragon-like creature. The face was white. It had like a chimp-like face, very white, pale white, almost cartoony looking in its appearance. It had really big human eyes, and it had red lips, and it was just looking at them, like standing right behind me, but it was looking at them too. And I thought, what in the hell is this, you know? And right the minute I thought that, I was outside of the house again, and this snake-like creature was like massive. It was like, you know, about 50 feet high, and may have been maybe 200 feet long, and it was looking down at me, smiling, and ironically I was not afraid even. And I felt that it was a female energy, very nurturing, very loving, very warm creature. And as I was taking in the vibration of this creature, I noticed behind the creature there was this big, endless plant-like city, and I was intrigued by it. Again, instantly I thought of it, and I was there in the middle of this plant patch, and the plants were massive. And I'm looking around. All of a sudden I look to my right side, and I see this massive plant. It had been like 30 feet high, and it was like scoping me out, almost like it was a cat preying and prowling towards a mice or something. At the time I thought that this thing is going to eat me, but now that I'm older I realize this thing found me rather peculiar and was intrigued by me and was trying to like figure me out. And the plants slowly start coming towards me, and I tried to go over to the right, and there was this huge 4-pod like plant folded in on itself. Now, even though it didn't move or didn't make a sound, I felt that this plant was alive, and if I had stepped in the direction, it would have opened up and just gobbled me up. At least that's what I was thinking. These plants were all around me. There was nowhere to go, but at the same time, this huge man-eating looking plant is edging its way towards me, and I'm just terrified at this moment. So something in me just said, intimidated. And I started forcing my astral body to jump up and down, and I was trying to yell at it, like, like, you know, scare it. And I started going up and jumping up and down, and I was jumping up and down very slowly, and then the vibration in my astral body began to pick up, and I could at that point sense my physical body vibrating, and then I was pulled back to my physical vessel, and I opened my eyes, and my heart was just beating really fast. It was just terrifying to me.